And welcome back to another. I am your host, Dami Drama, host of the Dami Drama podcast, where I bring you sporting tips and daily life tips to make your old self a better self for tomorrow. I am also partnered with my co-host, Tony Jackpot. Tony?
It's a pleasure to be on the Dami Parlay slash Dami Drama podcast. And today we're going to do something a little different on the podcast. What are we going to do?
Great job, Tony. Today we are going to be talking about different college teams, whether it's a boom or bust season for them, by using our college football generator. Dun 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 dun. Dun. College football generator.
Hmm. Yeah, this is a fun little exercise to get our takes on some quality, overhyped, and underhyped college football teams, and it should be a little fun.
That's right. Hopefully our viewers find it fun as well. And here, I'll kick you off, Tony. As the first team I want you to talk about are the Horned Frogs of TCU. Give us your take on them.
Very interesting here. TCU, the jumbled Big 12 conference that seems with Oklahoma and Texas leaving. You kind of look at TCU as the backbone of the conference. They looking at last year's
Doing pretty good
season
last season.
for the Horned Frogs. I love that TCU's coach, always trustworthy.
Gary Patterson.
Gary Patterson, gutsy. TCU was 6-4 last year. They beat Texas, and they had a quality win against Oklahoma State. They won their last 3 games of the year last season, even though they were 6-4. I like this team next year. I really do. I like how they finished the year 3-0 in a COVID year. A little difficult. To me, this team is a boom team to look out for. They have a manageable schedule. They played Duquesne, California, and SMU in their first 3 games. And then I think they'll piece together some wins in the Big 12. I got an 8-4, 7-5, 9-3 year for TCU. That is a boom team for me. I like that. I'm a Gary Patterson.
I agree with you. I like TCU as well. TCU had a very young defense last year. They stepped up, like you said, at the end of the season. I see them taking more strides in this upcoming season. I actually see them 8-4, 9-3, perhaps even flirting with a 10-2, depending on how the Big 12 is shaped with Texas and Oklahoma leaving. But even with Texas and Oklahoma in the conference, I see Patterson's squad at least 8-4, 9-3. So yeah, I think this is a boom team.
Yeah, and right now, for one more thing, and then we'll move on. But according to 247 Sports, out of the Big 12, TCU's FPI is right around that 4 or 5 mark. I like a good coach. I trust this team to get that 8-win mark. Give me a boom for them.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay. The next team, Dami, you will have to say boom or bust, is the Cardinal of Stanford from the Pac-12. Your bread and butter, Pac-12 football. What do you have on Stanford and David Shaw?
Yeah, this is my forte, so to speak. I am a huge Pac-12 guru. Stanford in the past recent years have not meted expectations. Shaw looks like he's plateauing more so out in California at the moment. So he's really going to have to step up. Their schedule is pretty daunting. They got to go. They have Notre Dame home. At Vanderbilt won't be easy for them, and Kansas State at home won't be easy for them. Pac-12's tough. Oregon will be good. Utah always tough. Arizona State has a better team, and USC has a better team. Both those games are away for Stanford. I see this team around a 4-8, 5-7 next year.
Whoa.
This is a big bust team. But at the same time, I think the past 4 or 5 years, Stanford's been around that 4-8, 8-4 mark. Never going too much farther below, never going too much higher than 8-4, especially after Jim Harbaugh's left and even early years of David Shaw. So I see this team right around 500, and I would go low than 500 this year.
So you have a
I have a 5-7 team.
5-7.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about Stanford's season, don't think I got from Dami. They had the 41 best recruiting class coming in, so nothing special. Not a bad pick. I don't mind that pick going in the under.
So here we are for round 2 of the college football generator, as you will have to talk about, Tony. Ooh, an interesting team. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers.
Very,
Interesting team, especially after last year's performance.
very fun team we have here, as very a surprising team. Last year they went 11-1, and perhaps one of the best games of the year is when they hosted BYU at their own stadium. They won by 5 points, went right down to the wire, and they dominated their competition throughout their first 11 games, as their first loss came into the very competitive bowl game with Liberty, as those two teams were kind of the star group of 5 teams that looked really good. And I like this team. The quarterback's coming back this year. I like the coach they have there. It looks like they fight for something at Coastal Carolina. I wouldn't expect them to do as well this year, as I don't know if they can do that twice. They will play at Buffalo on the schedule, which could get tricky early in the season. But after that, nothing too tough. They do play Appalachian State, which could be difficult for them. And if I think about if this team can repeat and go 11-1, I don't see that. So I'm gonna go 9-3, 8-4, 10-2, right on that mark. Again, they will have another good season, but I don't see them repeating. Incoming 15 3-stars, not bad, especially from this team. But to me, I don't think they can do that again. Give me 9-3 Coastal Carolina. Neither boom or bust.
Yeah, I like that pick. I don't think it's a boom or bust. I think it's, I guess, more so a bust because I don't see them repeating 11-1 year again. But they do bring in a few good transfers. Notice a few from Indiana, Georgia Tech, a few Vanderbilt. So it's some Power 5 former commits going to Coastal Carolina, want to play some football. That's always nice to see. They do have Kansas again on their schedule. And for the past few years, they love playing Kansas. So I think, like you were saying, their schedule is not daunting, but App State could be tricky. Arkansas State could be tricky. There's some other teams that could give them a hard time. But with a returning quarterback, with some transfers coming in, I think there'll be a lot of promise, a lot of hope. The issue is they're going to have a target on their back this year. How can they handle that? Can they be like Appalachian State where they can maintain a good record for several seasons, or is it just a one-year wonder and then start from scratch the next? We'll see, but I think they'll be right around the 8-4, 9-3. This team will be bowl hunting again.
Yeah, I think this season will really define them in the future as a up-and-coming football team, as we've seen with UCF and other schools like that. We'll see how they do. Next team for you. We go to the generator, and we will go with we go to the Big Ten. The team from Columbus, Ohio State Buckeyes. Next year, a new quarterback. What do you think?
The Buckeyes, the Ohio State Buckeyes. I like the Buckeyes a lot. I think their defense is going to surprise a lot of people. A lot of people see that Ohio State doesn't have a quarterback coming in. They're going to have a fresh one. I think that kid can make many mistakes, and that team will still win football games. I see this team going 11-1 or undefeated in the season. Oregon's a good team, but having Oregon to come into Columbus, Ohio State, I like their odds much better than Oregon. Michigan's a non-factor. Penn State might be a little tricky, but again, Ohio State, they've shown that they can beat them home, away. Doesn't really matter. This team will find themselves again the Big Ten championship. Will find themselves in that top 4 consideration for college football playoff. Will they win the championship? Maybe. But I think they're definitely a college football playoff team.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you that this team is destined for success this year. They come with the second best recruiting class. And I think the real question mark here is how will that quarterback play against the first week at Minnesota and second week Oregon? That will be a test for him. New quarterback, you never know. I feel like if the Buckeyes get over those 2 games, the season plateaus a little bit, and they'll do just fine. But it'll depend. Can they get past those 2 tests in week 1 and 2?
Yeah, and I think, like I said, and you were saying too, they have a very strong defense coming back. Their offensive line is good. Chris Olave, star wide receiver, he came back. I think, like I said earlier, he can make mistakes against Minnesota and Oregon, but there's enough firepower on that team where, say he does throw an interception, Ohio State will just come back, rebound, and
so you have a boom for them.
I think it's a boom.
Okay.
And I would not bet against it either. All right, so the third round, college football generator, you had TCU and Coastal Carolina as your first 2 to talk about. The last one we'll talk about, interesting team, the Volunteers of Tennessee.
Very, very interesting team.
Mm-hmm.
As Jeremy Pruitt is still coach. And I'll be honest, I don't know how or why his career is on the line.
Oh, yeah.
He hasn't done much since – he hasn't done much really at all. He last year started off 2-0 with 2 promising wins. And then they lose 6 straight. And Tennessee fans gotta be going nuts. Not much hope. It's a very dead end team to me. They don't recruit horrible. They recruited the 23rd best recruiting class. Not good, not bad, but they're obviously underperforming year in, year out. And to me, I don't see much changing. When I see teams like this, I like rooting for the coach that I like. And to me, I don't like Jeremy Pruitt. He hasn't done much with this Tennessee team. I don't see the players playing for him. It's a football town there in Knoxville, and I think they're gunning for his head after the season. They do have a manageable first 3 games. They play Pitt, but it's at home. They play out the swamp this year at Alabama, at a tricky Kentucky team, Georgia home. They will slip up because it's the Tennessee team we see in and out every year. It's good for college football. Tennessee's good, but I got to go with my gut and my brain here. Tennessee bust 6-6. At worst 3-9, best 7-5. I don't think they can do much better than 7-5 this year, just because I don't like their team, I don't like their coach, and I think they'll slip up in the season. Bust.
Yeah, I'd agree. This is a bust team. You mentioned a little bit about the schedule. Let's not forget about Georgia State a few years ago, where a very talented Tennessee team was supposed to roll over them. Guess what happened? Georgia State beat them in Tennessee. BYU comes in next week. BYU beats them in Tennessee. Very tough environment, but at the same time, Tennessee doesn't have those players to beat those type of teams. How can you expect them to play SEC teams? Now, on the same side, I know they got some transfers, especially a lot of them from Michigan. Some notable ones like Joe Milton, Solomon on the defensive side. Can those guys do anything? Can they resurrect their career at Tennessee? Past history shows no. I don't see it. I see a loss at Pittsburgh. Tennessee Tech, I think, will be tough for them. And then this 4-game stretch is daunting. Ole Miss, Bama, Kentucky, Georgia. If they win 2 of those out of the 4, that's incredible. But I see an 0-4 slate right there. And then, a funny stat, too, I was looking at this the other day. when you look at Tennessee and Vanderbilt, their last 10 to 12 meetings, you know what their record is against one another? 500.
6-6
Yeah,
against
Vanderbilt.
the worst football school in the SEC.
Yeah, so not even
Yeah.
Vanderbilt's a guaranteed win. So I
Yeah.
see this as a bust, just because of past history and, like you said, Jeremy Pruitt.
And I would parallel this team to a Nebraska.
Yeah,
The Big Ten. I think they're two, again, big brand football schools dying to get back in the conversation, and neither of them taking that step forward. It won't be this year for Tennessee, I'll tell you that. Pruitt will be fired at the end of the year, and Tennessee's future looms. We will give you your third team and final team of the podcast. You have had Ohio State, and you've had
first one?
Yeah.
Stanford.
Ohio State and
David Shaw.
Stanford. So your third team in the generator, we will go with let's just load in a little bit. All right, here we go. The generator picks
Everything okay, Tony?
yeah, here we go. The Arkansas Razorbacks. We stay in the Southern Eastern Conference. We go to Arkansas.
Interesting. Arkansas has a lot of potential for a good season this year. They had a surprising season last season. Turned a lot of different heads, especially in the SEC. And a lot of people are expecting this team to do something special. Now, the issue I see with this is their schedule is tough. They got to play A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, Auburn, all in a row. And then to end their season, Mississippi State, LSU, Bama. This is a daunting schedule. Very tricky. And not to mention, they got to play Texas second week. So this team, I think they have potential for something special. But at the same time, if we remember last season, they had a lot of close wins and they had a lot of close losses. So their record,
They did.
Their record could have been 9-3.
They had a
but at the
lot of
same
close
time,
losses.
It could have been 3-9. So I don't see too much different. I see a plateau. I see 6-6, maybe 7-5, 5-7.
Yeah, and to me,
I don't see much.
give me a boom for Arkansas.
Really?
To me, this is a boom.
Wow.
I like their quarterback.
Whoa.
They bring in the 25th best recruiting class. And like you said, they lost a lot of close games. I see them getting wins with Rice, Georgia Southern. Maybe they get one at Ole Miss, Pine Bluff at home, Mississippi State maybe at home, Missouri at home. Give me 7-5, boom for this team. I know it's not what they want, but it's a lot better than what 3-7 was last year. Give me boom at 7-5, not a big boom, little boom. Arkansas 7-5, boom.
The thing that will dictate Arkansas' season is their first 4 games. They have Rice, Texas, Georgia Southern, all at home. If they can manage and win those 3, go into A&M on a neutral site, play tough, perhaps win that, now your schedule looks a little bit better.
I'm saying just win 3 out of those first 4.
Yeah, perhaps
Just
3.
Find a win between Texas or A&M.
Yeah. And I'm not saying Texas is a guaranteed lock because that's a huge question mark team. And playing them in Arkansas is a huge advantage for Arkansas. But that's a game they have to win to prove to the rest of the SEC saying, hey, we're here to stick around. Not, well, we can win a few close games here and there, but we can also lose a few close games here and there. So I'm rooting for Arkansas. Hopefully they can do some cool things in the SEC. I have them as a plateau or a bust, but on Anthony's side, Tony's side, we have a big boom. So any final comments about the college football generator?
No, we'll do a little bit more in the future of other teams and comment in the TikToks if you want to see any teams you want to hear us talk about. We'll have more of this in the future and more NFL teams in the future of this. And that was a pleasure.
Yes, no doubt. like Tony said, follow us on TikTok, YouTube, Anchor, Spotify. This will be broadcast around the world 24/7. So hook us up on any of those platforms, and can't wait for our next episode. We will see you all soon. Sign off from Unnecessary Roughness.